Welcome back to Talk Time Life Unscripted. Today, I'm answering a few questions that have been raised about the difference between a resume and a curriculum vitae, also known as a CV. Now, the British pronounce it as vitae, but in the US, we say VT, aka CV. What is the difference between a resume and a CV? Is there actually a difference? Before we get into it, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell, as it means a lot to us and it goes a long way in supporting our channel. Now, let's break this down and get into this key. The word resume comes from the French vocabulary meaning to summarize. A resume is a document most commonly used when applying for jobs, especially in the United States or Canada. It provides a concise summary of an individual's work experience, skills, education, and it is designed to highlight their qualifications, achievements for potential employers. Key elements of the resume: contact information, which would include your name, address, email address, phone number; a professional summary, which is the brief summary that highlights your most relevant experience, skills, and accomplishments; your work experience, which is a list of just your recent jobs, including company name, dates of employment, and job responsibilities. It would also include your education, which would be any degrees, certifications, or relevant coursework that you may have achieved. You would also include your skills, which are any relevant technical or soft skills that you've learned through previous roles, and your accomplishments, which are any quantifiable results or contributions made in a previous role. A few things that are sometimes optional are awards or honors, any recognitions for achievements, any activities or hobbies, especially if they're relevant to the job that you're applying for, and of course, any references, which would be any contact information for your professional references. Now, a few tips for creating a resume: keep it concise. A resume is typically 1 or 2 pages, according to the latest information from Indeed. Regarding your work experience, you really only need to go back about 10 years. If you want to add additional work experience beyond those 10 years, it is recommended that you don't include those dates, but you can add an additional section on the resume titled relevant work experience or additional relevant work experience. You also need to make sure that you tailor it to a job, making sure that you highlight any skills or experience that align with the specific job description that you are applying for. And you also need to make sure that you use clear and professional format, making it easy to read and visually appealing. One of the most important things that you can do is to proofread your resume carefully. You need to make sure that you check for any typos or grammatical errors. You could consider using a resume builder, using online tools like Adobe or Canva to help with formatting and design. You could also even use ChatGPT to help you with that design or format or layout of the resume. You also want to include a cover letter. Not every employer will ask for a cover letter, but it is important that you have a cover letter prepared and be able to provide that should you be asked for that. And then you need to also make sure that that is tailored specific to the job that you are applying for. And that cover letter, of course, is just a additional content which would explain your interest in the job. Now, when we get into curriculum vitae, aka CV. That is Latin for course of life. Now, a CV is a completely different story, especially if you're in academia or applying for jobs internationally. A CV is a document that summarizes your qualifications, your education, and work experience. It's often used to apply for academic positions such as research jobs and other opportunities that require specific knowledge or expertise. Some of the key elements of a CV is it is often several pages long. There's typically no page restriction limit on there, unlike a resume. It would also include everything about your professional academic background, which could include your education, research, publications, awards, teachings, or any presentations or grants. And it's usually very static, meaning you update it over time, but it is not customized per a specific job. But here's the kicker, because in Europe and in some other countries, countries, the terms CV and resume are often used interchangeably. While a CV is more commonly used in Europe, both terms typically describe a concise job application documentation. So, for clarification on usage, despite slight regional differences, many European countries use CV and resume to describe the same documentation, which can be kind of confusing since sometimes a CV also could be used for academic purposes. But the next time someone asks you for your CV or your resume, you'll know exactly what to send them. Hopefully, this has been helpful in that clarification. And if you did find this helpful, do drop me a comment and let me know. Ciao for now.